Honey, we're home.
The thing that would really complete my outfit.
Yeah, what is it?
You have this.
Okay, can you give me a hint?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's something that you can't buy at a store.
Okay.
You cannot, it's a pair of something.
Okay.
And you have to get it from somebody who's really good at it.
Okay.
Because it's a serious thing.
Boobs?
Yes. That's what would really complete every outfit I have. A big pair of titties. And I don't have those. I wasn't blessed. Some of us aren't God's favorites. And some
Niki,
of us...
you have blonde hair and green eyes.
That is one thing I have going for me.
Yeah.
That is true. But you have natural red hair, which is also a gift.
I guess.
So yeah.
We all want what we can't have. I want your hair.
True.
I don't want my hair.
Really?
Yeah, like really.
My hair has gone through its own journey recently. We won't even get into it. I want your hair.
Well,
I want the quality, the health, and the color. So I want the whole thing. Yeah, I just want to skin you and take your hair off and put it on my head. That's one of those moments where I let intrusive thoughts win.
I'd like to chop my own head off and put it on your body.
Oh, that would look good.
Yeah.
That would actually be kind of a moment.
Yeah.
Cunty. I can't even say that seriously.
You're going to give me such a freaking heart attack. I can't. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Honey, We're Home. I'm Caroline Crawford Patterson.
And I'm Back Pain Pellegrino.
Shut up. Anyways, we're developing our new studio. We love it so much. Niki looks so cute today. If you're watching, she's very Honey, We're Home coded. We have a good episode for you guys.
Yeah, we do. Today is just the two of us, and we have a guest. You know, we're in our guest era this end of summer/fall, so we're gonna have a lot of guests coming sooner than you know it, really.
Yeah, I think that also I feel like this would be a good time to tell you guys that we're starting a series which will kick off next week, and it is called Ladies Who Lunch, and it's an ongoing series where we bring on women that entertain us and inspire us, whether it's online, in real life, all your favorite people. We're taking requests. This is just a term that we're going to use when we interview really fun people. We make cocktails, mocktails, and we get into the nitty-gritty of what you want to know, what we want to know.
Yeah, it's basically us bringing on guests, but branding it something cool.
Exactly.
Not to diminish.
It's exactly what it is.
Not me ruining the fun. Yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
We've been batching a little lately, so if you see us posting on our Insta stories and such in our outfits, and then a couple weeks later you see an episode in those same outfits, don't worry, Lizzie McGuire, we're not an outfit repeater.
Yeah. Well, I just actually posted a story ranting about how that guy tried to poke my boobs. So I guess that will be quick. Relative.
You turned that around.
I was super upset.
You turned that story around.
You don't literally.
That just happened.
It just happened.
When did you post a story?
I did it walking down. He did it, and I was I'm raging right now. PMSing. Which we can discuss because our periods have moved. And it's hot. There's no AC in the subway. It's feels 100 outside. That's the actual heat index. Mm-hmm. I already get so sketchy walking on these streets in our recording outfits because just people feel so entitled to say stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too in the city when you're walking. Well, in parts of, I don't know. Sometimes when you have full hair, makeup, look cute, you get comments.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Depending how you look at it, you could be in a good mood and be cool, I thought I looked cute. That comment might be derogatory, but at least it affirmed that I look cute. If you wanted to put I'm not going to get upset at it today spin on it. But then there are days where when you're in the brink of crying all day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's when that happens, I was just going to smash that bottle of limoncello right over that guy's head.
Yeah, you got poked in the boob by a random.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Assaulted.
I moved. And I said, well, that is so rude. And I kept going.
Did he intentionally jab your tit?
He went out for them. He said, either look at those melons or that's a bouncy pair of melons. And then he put his finger out. He was very tall.
Why is everyone obsessed with your boobs today?
I don't know. Oh, you wanted him. Yeah.
I didn't even know.
They did look nice, like when I got dressed.
Because you're wearing a boob top. You're asking for it.
I'm asking for his finger, like I just saw it come out of left field and like start to go down and like this, like he was about to point something and he like went, he said bouncy pair of melons. So he was like gonna go bounce them. And I just swerved straight out of the way and looked back and I was like, oh my God, that's rude. And
bouncy
kept going.
That's assault.
No, it's terrible.
This reminds me, actually, a really funny story. The other day, because this is so on brand for me, I unintentionally, accidentally assaulted an innocent man in the city because I grabbed his his junk. I essentially grabbed his junk. What happened was I was carrying this massive package that I had to mail out to my sister. It's a long story. I'll keep that one for another day.
Is it that long of a story? Or is it just stuff she wanted?
No, not even. But I was carrying this package, which was like an awkward, hard to carry package. In one arm. Other arm, I have like my bag and my phone and stuff. I'm at this coffee shop rushing around ordering coffee. And in my defense, this man was standing he was like a normal guy, like on his way to work in the city. Like, so picture that. But he was standing a little too close behind me. Now I wasn't aware of the spatial proximity to me because I had my noise canceling headphones in and was listening to music. So I couldn't like hear the movement, the breath, whatever. But he was standing close enough where like I could have heard him breathing probably. It was a small coffee shop. So like whatever. He was in line behind me. I'm looking at what I want. I decide I don't have time before my hair appointment. And I'm like, I'm going to go somewhere else because like the barista was honestly taking forever.
Right.
And so I do a quick turnaround and one of my hands that was holding the package was like down, but like open for some reason. And literally the way I turned around, my hand went right on his squishy little crotch area.
Shut up.
And it happened so fast. It was so awkward though. And then he like jumps.
Did you like yelp?
Oh, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You knew what it was immediately.
No, like my hand touched his penis and balls. Okay. I fully told Mike about it. I was like, listen,
he was probably dying laughing.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I was just like,
and he had to go home and like, imagine if John or Mike came home and like they had to tell you how this girl like grabbed their junk that day. Like he had to go home and do that for sure.
Laugh. It hurts to laugh. But yeah.
He definitely had to go home and do that.
Yeah. It was just so, and then like I handled it awfully. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like run out. And yeah, that's what happened. That's the story of how I did that. So me and the man that poked your tit have that in common.
So there's a good catch up.
So and also like in this episode and our guest episode, if I'm like having a weird stifled laugh, it's because my back is on fire. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know this week my back is on fire. It's age 31. Welcome to the 30s.
I've heard like your dad's a doctor. Like, aren't you like not supposed to go to chiropractors?
Not at all. My grandfather was a chiropractor, so
I've heard that like a million times. I used to go to the chiropractor all the time.
No, I mean I
always get that look from doctors where they're like, my friends, I should say, they're like, oh, like not the chiropractor. I heard it could make you worse. I don't know. I felt like it helped me, but
interesting. I've never heard that. I'm a chiropractor stan because my grandfather.
Yeah, it would be too. I mean, I like the chiropractor, personally.
Every time growing up we'd see him, we'd be like, Grandpa, give me an adjustment. The poor man never got to like not work. We were like, hey, nice to see you, Grandpa. Now I need an adjustment. And we'd like lay down on the couch and get an adjustment. And I swear it healed me. Anytime I had like a cold or anything, he would just like crack the shit out of my neck and it would make everything better.
Wait, by that logic, I'm very surprised you don't go to acupuncture.
Oh, my chiropractor place has acupuncture and it's like 2 seconds from my apartment. And I was like, honestly, my podcast friend, that's not what I called you, my friend / podcast co-host always tells me to do acupuncture. And I was like, how much is it? And they were like $1 trillion per session. And
I'm your podcast friend too. That's so nice to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to do it after my travels. So
I like that idea.
Yeah. Like what's up with you?
This episode, I wanted to talk about dating your partner, but not in the sense that we always say, and we've said this on this episode a million times, or like, you're never stop dating. I feel like that's advice that we get from married people as well, a lot.
Yeah, but like, what does that even mean?
I mean, for me personally, like, I guess it just means whatever you want it to mean. But like for me personally, up until now, it's meant like, don't get like too comfortable in the norm. Like,
yeah,
you're still dating. Like, make concerted efforts towards each other. Like, go on dates. Like, go on trips.
I think also
like,
it means like keep learning about each other. I think that's really important. Like, keep discovering things about each other, digging into the past. And
I've said that.
Because that'll just like, it makes it feel new again. However, for me personally, I feel like I am just starting to date these past couple years because Mike and I had a very non-traditional beginning, which was we didn't date. I've talked about this before. We didn't date in college. Yeah. We went to like date functions where we were drunk.
But when you meet someone in college, like you weren't going on dates. Yeah.
No.
I get that.
I think we went on like, I don't know. I'm giving him credit. I really don't think we did. We did like, he would invite me over to like watch a movie in bed and like bang. Like is that a date? I don't know.
You're sending my anxiety to the high heavens today.
You've been anxious.
I've been so anxious. But I think that I'm taking a new lease on not just like keep dating your partner. Like I stand by that. And I have always said like keep getting to know your person, especially if you met young. Like part of the privilege of meeting young is that you get to see each other grow into the adults that they're going to be, which means like don't count on who they were 5-10 years ago to be the person that they are tomorrow or 10 years from now. And you should like celebrate that change. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't hold them to their same interests and their same things. Like if you fell in love with like who they are in their soul, then you shouldn't have a problem with their like interests adjusting over time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that totally. I stand by.
I think in a normal scenario, they usually grow for the better and grow into like a better and better version of themselves.
Yeah.
But there are some instances where they grow into like a weirder version of themselves and like a worse and like not as nice
that's
person.
Not cute.
And so that in that case, you don't have
that's to like, okay, but to be fair, anything that we say in this room, like there are fully exceptions.
Yeah, true.
Like if you, like
I'm like the devil's advocate.
No,
all
like
the time.
all
like
of the way around.
Friend.
Like we'll be like hold your significant other to like a high standard. You know what I mean? Like the status quo isn't good enough. But like that doesn't mean that there aren't some people that are relentless, like in this mindset that like their partner can never do well enough for them, or like they're always doing something wrong, or like there actually are scenarios where like that's a dynamic and like whatever. There are always exceptions to whatever we're saying.
So true. And I like bringing them up. So in this episode, I do want to hear about like the book and everything you read, but I feel like we did some deep like research and reflecting and things, and we are going to be giving tangible tips that you guys can use to date your spouse or your partner.
Well, the thing I want to say though is that it's not
a problem with that.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, because we all say we're dating our partner, and we are dating our partner, and we got a lot of feedback that is like, this is how I date my partner. I would say that the majority of those things are things we're all already doing. What I'm saying is we should normalize like refalling in love with your partner. Those are two different things. Like think about if you have been with your partner.
Dating leads to falling in love.
No, think about it reverse. Well, not always, because over the years you develop these like commonalities and these interests and these habits, and you could argue that doing those things, like you get used to going on a date night every Tuesday. That's still dating your partner, but it's not going to re-simulate that feeling of falling in love for you. Like that's just a part of your relationship. You've built it in that you date your partner.
How do you fall in love?
That's what I'm saying is like you think about not the meat of the relationship prior to getting engaged.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like that beginning stage of a relationship where like everything about that person like excites you and makes you like have butterflies and you're like tingly and you can't get enough of them. Like you don't ever want to go home. Yeah. That feeling.
Okay. But I also think that the dating is keeping on dating each other is a way to keep things exciting, which is kind of that feeling, that excitement of like...
Yeah, no, it is.
Of not wanting to go home, of the butterflies and everything. And I would argue that as your relationship becomes more of a long-term relationship, like 10 fucking years of knowing each other, for instance, you start to fall in love in ways that go along with the long distance nature. So like, for example, when Mike makes a bone broth from scratch for Louis with tomatoes and not tomatoes, dogs can't have those, but you know what I mean, with sweet potatoes, carrots, etc. When he finds this thing, because Louis is not eating his food, so he makes this custom broth for, like, that will make me have butterflies and fall in love with you again. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I get those. It's just not what I'm talking about. Like, I know what you're saying, but like, you fell in love with Mike as this guy, and then as a friend, and then as a boyfriend, and then as a fiance, and then as a husband, and now it's like you're falling in love with him as like a future dad, and like a dog dad, and like all these things. The relationship is progressing. What I'm talking about is like, okay, I read a book. Like, we all read rom-coms here. I was
Miss Know-It-All read a book.
Okay, shut up. It's
I'm just kidding.
A beach read. I read this book called One Italian Summer, and this girl is like falling in love in this book, and whatever. I'm not going to spoil the ending. Anyways, I was sitting there thinking like, wow, I really miss that feeling of falling in love with someone, like, for the first time. Like,
same.
Like, and then I was like, and you only really fall in love like that
in the beginning
with like your person. Like, if it was a different person, I would never like have such intense feelings for them as I would with John, because like,
see,
John was my person.
Don't listen, Mike. If you're listening, turn this off.
You think it could be multiple people?
I think that there could be more than one soulmate out there for people.
Okay. And I think a lot of people think that. But
I would never,
but
like,
you're married to one.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I chose one.
I was thinking, and I was like, I've never ever felt like I was missing out on something by being married before. And I was like, wow, it's crazy to think that like I'll forever only think about this like initial falling in love with John as this time in the past. Like, I'll never have those first again. Like, in that capacity. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but I kind of want that feeling, and I want it with John.
Right.
So I went to John and I was like, I want us to like start dating again. And he said, currently we do date. Like, that's part of the whole premise of our relationship, is that we continue to date.
Guys, if anybody dates, y'all two have that nailed down. You practice what you preach.
And I was like, that's not what I'm saying. I was like, I think that I am so in love with you in so many different facets. Like, I'm in love with you as a partner, as a best friend, like as a future parent, like all these things. But sometimes like all those areas of our relationship are like really good or whatever. I'm like the romantic portion of like, I kind of want to remove everything about our like intertwined life that could provide anxiety or logistics or whatever, and then just like re-fall in love with you on dates. Like, I want to start going on dates with you where like it's almost like we're not married. Like, we don't get to talk about where we're going to live next.
It's giving role play with Phil and Claire on Modern Family.
Yes. Like, it literally, actually, now that you said that, because I was like, I was like, just think about it. I was like, when's the last time that we went to dinner where we literally didn't once bring up any point of business or point of a to-do list or thing that was like, because what's on your mind and what's on my mind is like work, house. Are we going to move? Are we going to stay? When's this travel thing? Should we do this? Should we not do that? What do we have going on this weekend? Is there anything you like?
Right.
It's
or
life.
like if you have a vacation, like Mike and I's lately has been like London. We're going to London soon. What do we want to do in London? It's very much like talking about planning stuff.
You built a life together.
Yeah.
You love the life.
Well, and I think this is where like that becomes the conversation with married couples so often. I've seen TikToks and stuff. I've said this before on the pod, but where you lose like material to talk about. You're like, we know we're together so often. Yeah. We know each other like the back of our hands. What are we supposed to talk about now? And then you think like, okay, we got a dog. We can talk about how much we love the dog. And then kids come into the picture and you can talk about how funny and cool your kids are. And I know married couples, that's what they talk about when they go out to dinner. And that's where I get really like sometimes frustrated with Mike, because I'm like, let's stop. Like, I feel like sometimes when we go out to dinner, I'm like, I feel like it's a business meeting or something.
Wait, so you want it too? I think all girls, and when we say, I was thinking about this, when we say, how do we get the spark back? Oh, we're dating again. And sometimes we have a hard time communicating this to guys, but I think we're all saying the same thing, is that we like miss the feeling of falling in love. Like,
and I think a way to solve that is like just getting really deep and being really present on those dates. And that's something that both Mike and I can struggle with, is the presence. He struggles with the deep. I don't struggle with the deep. Like, literally, to illustrate how this manifested, like a month ago or whatever, we're on a date and we're talking about like businessy shit, like planning for the future and Louis and work. And all of a sudden I like got so fresh. All of a sudden I was like, what's your deepest fear? And he was like, what?
But those kinds of questions.
Yeah. He was like, whoa, okay. So we're talking about that now. And I was like, yeah, I need deep. I need something. Like,
that's how this happened to us too. I was like trying to ask John questions and he was like, where is this coming from? And I was like, listen, I have to tell you something. Like, I've decided I want to fall in love again. And I feel like we should be able to fall in love again. Like, no problem. Because we fell in love once before.
Was he like, this fucking bitch?
Yeah. He just was like, of course. Like, it's literally leave me alone for 5 seconds. I'll like come up with like a new idea.
Like, I'll add it to the fucking list, Caroline.
He was like, we date. And then I said, we date. I was like, but that's not what I'm talking about. Deeper. We went home and then he went to work the next morning and texted me. He was like, I was thinking about it. And like, I totally get what you're saying. He was like, the stress of life, it's just, regardless of if what you're talking about is positive, negative, or in between, just the stress of running a life together infiltrates the overarching, feel of the relationship, where he's like, there's nothing wrong with us. Like, we're obviously in love. We are great partners. We're great friends. But sometimes we lean on like kind of celebrating like how good of partners and friends we are to like look at each other like we're doing a really good job. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what if we removed all those things? Like, how much happier would we be if we were sometimes saying that stuff is life, but it's off limits right now? Like, right. Let's like focus on why we're together in the first place, why we fell in love in the first place. Like, if you set us down, I don't think we give ourselves the opportunity to come up with new material.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's all about too just having fun together. Like, you don't always have to sit there and do a dinner date and be like, now what new material can we discuss that's not work and kids and life related and planning for the future related. Instead, like, I don't know, that's where open the opportunity for the list that we can go through in a little bit for like the tangible things you can do to date. But that's where my argument with like the dating does lead to falling in love again.
There are certain things, okay, I think you're really onto something, because I think there are certain things that when you go start dating somebody new that you do, like you incorporate, like trying new things. Obviously, you've never done that thing with that person before. You're open to new stuff when you date somebody new. When you date your husband, you're not always like approaching. You're not always approaching it in that way. Like, you're more approaching it with 10 years of knowledge behind it. Like, I know he likes this and he doesn't like that.
Like, when you're dating someone new, it's like, I'll book us a sailing date to take a sailing lesson together on the Hudson, because that's a fun, cool activity for an early on date. But then when you know your husband, you're like, oh, I know he's probably going to get hot and complain about the sailboat or whatever. Like, and that's when you might not be open to doing
right. So if you both take the attitude, like, the list at dinner is just saying, like, if you say all these topics about our actual life are off limits and I'm looking at you as if we were going on a first date, what questions would I ask you? Or like, what topics would I bring up on a first date? Obviously, you're not going to bring up like how much rent is, because you don't live with that person. Yeah. So like, I think you would be surprised how creative you become on what you talk about.
See, some people though, I'm not trying to like shit on Mike.
What is it?
Sometimes Mike can like bring up the same. So if I said off limits these topics, then he would just bring up his comfort topics, I feel like, which are, he'll talk about like his past and his family and stuff and whatnot. But it's like, I've heard this before. you're just bringing up the same thing because you're comfortable. I want you to get uncomfortable.
That is the point. I think that is part of the point, is getting uncomfortable. And that's where they have to be on the same page as you, because I did try to initially go into this dinner like, it sounds really weird to look at your husband and be like, I decided I want to fall in love again. Like, what a weird thing to say. I was like, it's fine. I don't have to tell him. I'll do the work.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this isn't going to work if I'm the only person committed to this. Like, he also has to be putting certain topics off limits and coming up with new stuff and like getting uncomfortable.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like, to dinner, are we supposed to, because I love this idea. I'm all here for it. Are we supposed to bring mentally, or write it down, a list of like questions to bring? Like Brene Brown's game. I've never played it, but I've heard
I guess you could. I at first would try it, like raw dog it at first. I'm calling this a sexy date. Like I always say, when you're engaged, do engates, because they're engaged dates where you're not allowed to talk about the wedding. Mm-hmm. So, and then it always reminds you like why you're engaged and that the marriage is what you're looking forward to, despite the stress of planning a wedding. I'm like calling these like sexy dates, like no life talk. You're not allowed to have this life together outside of this date where like to-do list items could come into play. You cannot lean on your comfort topics. The first thing I would do is try to raw dog it, because we're more creative than we give ourselves credit for.
Truly. And then it's more natural. Yeah. And you're not like interviewing.
If you do said suggestion and it's not working out for you, then like I guess to your point, write stuff down.
Yeah. I'm a big note.
Like, you know what's a great one is like, would you rather?
I love playing
would you rather is such a good one.
That's a good idea.
Or like if you had to.
Yeah.
Like if you had to pick 3 places that you could only go for the rest of your life, where would they be? Like those types of things.
We've done that before. So we've been doing we do this.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
It's just, I think once you start doing it and then those topics can't come back into the conversation, or like you get a text about something and you can't bring it up because like those are the rules of the date. I feel like you get a little bit more excited as the evening goes on, and then you realize that like talking to that person
is really fun.
And then it gives you the feeling that you don't want to go home from the date, even though you're going home together.
Yeah. Just because it's like new also, topic.
It's also like an outlet. Like you've just almost separated yourself from real life. Yeah. And the idea, and like going home is bringing yourself back to whatever this like great life that you built. But in this moment, you're just like 2 kids having a date.
I'm very all for this. I do think we should go through some of our tangible tips for dating your husband, because I just think this will give you guys some really good tangible tips to do.
Okay, start.
The first one I wrote down was sports. If you heard on the Jenna episode that I always reference, my sister, her and Ben, like that's their favorite type of date, is like playing a sport together, going golfing together, tennis. Obviously, like you're talking throughout this, but I just think like it's a really good way to flirt and be, especially for us competitive girlies out there. Like Mike and I, when we play tennis, we're like flirting, we're having fun, we're like, who's gonna win? Yay. Pickleball we did recently, so much fun, very good entry level. I played for the first time.
Yeah,
I know pickleball's nothing new, but it was
I've never played before either. I know. I mean, that's part of the dating thing though. It's like, I think John thinks he like wouldn't like it. But it's like, okay, if we're like falling in love again, then like whatever. No, because the idea is, as long as you're hanging out with me, it's going to be the best time of your life.
Well, and the things I wrote down on this list are very intentional, that are things that I know would turn me on. That when I see my husband doing it, it would turn me on.
That's smart. Mine are more emotional. Like John and I, instead of doing a sport together, we like did an 8:30 a.m. Soul Cycle class on Saturday morning, but it was a Taylor Swift class. Which I'm like,
see, that would turn me on.
But it was more of a like, I was so excited to have someone to do it with. I know he's like not a big Taylor Swift guy, but his excitement about like, oh, let's do that. Like you would love that was like a turn on in itself, because like that's not his pick, but his entire demeanor was like, as long as I'm with her, I'm gonna have such a good time. Like I just want to keep hanging out with her.
Well, and one of the points I wrote down is like, do stuff that you know the other person would like that you wouldn't. So that's him doing that for you, because I would argue that a good way to fall back in love and become more passionate and turned on by the other person is to watch them be passionate about something that they're passionate about. Drink every time I say passionate. But truly, like, Mike, for instance, is a huge history buff. Me, I can't remember anything about any war, about anything from history. It's a big character flaw in my sense, but whatever. I know, like, when we go to London, I booked us a tour for the Churchill War Rooms. Sorry, can I even speak? The Winston Churchill War Rooms. Cute. Something he really wants to do, and I know he'll be so passionate about it, but just seeing him get excited about something is a turn on to me.
That's really cute.
And I will probably
That's like the Mafia tour.
The Mafia tour, even though I always do end up enjoying the thing too. So.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like John with you and the Taylor Swift Soul Cycle.
Okay, so the sports one is a really good one. You also read a book and discuss it, or a podcast.
Yeah, just getting into something together. Like, we always think of book club with the girls and stuff, but like, why not try a book club with each other? Like, this is me not practicing what I preach, because Mike and I have never fucking read the same book and discussed it. But I would like to one day. A podcast that we have, like a true crime podcast, like that you listen to together and you like get into together and then you discuss it and dissect it. That's a good way to just bond.
That's a really cute one.
And like have fun.
I feel like that's a really good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really good tip. You also said double dates, which I think is a good one.
I forget exactly why. Oh, because when you're double dating each other, I really need to stop like smacking my mouth in the microphone. I always do that. When you are on a double date with you, your significant other, and another couple, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I leave double dates being like, we had so much fun and I love him even more. I don't know why. I like just seeing him like interact with other people.
I think that's a normal feeling.
Right? Like just... I think like there's some men on double dates that kind of like suck on double dates, but like we're fortunate to have found two that are like really good on double dating.
Yeah.
And it's an art.
That would actually suck to
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck.
Like so
I actually can't think of anybody. Thank God.
Like I love watching Mike on a double date. He'll yap your fucking ear off, that's for sure.
What's another one? I think we did touch on stop talking about dogs, kids, etc. Like definitely have the rules. I like surprising another person with planning a trip. It could even just be surprising them with a date night. Keeping all the details under wraps.
Yeah.
Like that's cute too.
Yeah. That way, like, I don't know, it just is a good way to show the other person to show you like what they can whip out from planning. That fully came inspired by, well, you and John do that. I know you guys are good at that, but also...
Oh, like in January?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going to amp it up now by putting in like rules of what we can't talk about when we're on those dates.
Smart.
So that...
Just niche it down.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly Grace May, the influencer that I always reference, who we want to have on the pod in the future, she's currently in Italy and her husband planned the entire trip. Yeah. It's their honeymoon. And she was like, she was posting on her story and she was like, I don't even know where we're going for my honeymoon, I was like, that's exciting.
I think that's really cute.
My control freak in me could probably never, but for others out there.
So we did get some tips also from listeners, like what you guys do. Cause this is obviously not a novel idea. People do this all the time and people have like ways that it has worked. So these are some of the ways that it has worked for the larger collective of us. So this is what we said. Okay. One girl said, get away even just for the weekend. The result was it removes you from your daily grind. So you have to focus on each other and reconnect. Mm-hmm. This one was cute and totally doable. Spontaneous, super simple date nights like grabbing gelato late at night before bed. Mm-hmm. John and I do those and I will say, like, I get so giddy every single time. Having a slumber party.
I actually, at first I looked at that and the entitled
you hated
girly in me wanted to be like, that's stupid. But
it's actually so fun.
No, I actually really love the idea of having fun in bed together, physically in bed, that's not sex and that's not like, don't bring a laptop into the bed, just like chatting, laughing, having fun in bed.
We do this a lot, but I think like just chatting, laughing in bed.
Yeah.
But I've only done this one time, and I feel like you and Mike are prime candidates for this. Slumber party in the living room, because you guys love movies and shows.
We've done that.
Like, but where you like you stay up all night and watch a show.
Oh.
And you like have snacks prepped. Like,
yeah,
you're making popcorn. You have all of your like desserts out. You have ice cream.
We've done that, but never stayed up
and you
all
like
night.
make a bed in the living room.
My ass could never.
But you just like don't have a bedtime.
Yeah. We do that every Friday night.
Yeah. You just go to bed whenever. Like it's like 3 a.m. before you go to bed.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
That's like slumber party.
Yeah, that's like my
That's your favorite thing to do.
Favorite. Couch rot with food till 3 a.m. Love this.
Yeah.
Learning a new hobby and skill together. I really like that suggestion.
I do too. Somebody else said standing date night every Tuesday.
Where did
So
they
that's
submit
exactly what I
these? These are
said.
so good.
Yeah, I asked. And then I love this one, recreating early dates. Go to the restaurant. Your first date was every summer. That doesn't apply to me because it was like Chipotle and you didn't have a first date. So
mine would
but
be like in a JMU frat house.
Yeah, like I know friends that have done that, and like I vicariously live through them because I think it's just like genuinely the cutest thing ever. I also just wanted to read these ones. This girl said that they do sake bomb date nights, and each time they switch off cheersing to the other person, like something that they've like done that week or something they did for each other that week. And I will really want to do that.
I'm stealing that.
The sake bomb date night.
Yeah.
That is incredible. You have to go back and forth. You have to keep coming up to a new cheers.
And it's a good excuse to like grab your husband and drag him to sushi. I feel like a lot of husbands don't like jump at the chance to go get sushi.
Yeah.
And I jump at that chance.
I do too. Also, this other girl said, which I think pours into what we said, just as like a confirmation because she's saying she's done this and it works. She said, pretend it's your first date. If you married him, the chances are that he's full of green flags and it's fun to pay attention to those on a date as if it was the first time.
I love that. I'm fully a fan. I'm going to do the Phil and Claire Modern Family situation where they fully take on a whole new acting persona and role play and just like meet each other at a bar.
Yeah.
And you're fully just meeting each other. But I want to play other characters. Like I don't want to play.
It's like we're taking dating to the new level. Like we're refalling in love this summer.
Yeah.
We're not just dating, we're refalling in love. This is why I love this because this came from this girl's therapist, and like, you know, I'm a hoe for a therapist. She said a therapist asked us if we thought that we would be compatible if we met today. I immediately thought yes, and thought of all the instances that I would be attracted to him if I were dating him right now, and think what a catch he is. So long story short, when you're on a date, pretend it's your first date. Like, yeah, Mike has got to be a 10 times better version of himself now than he is when you met him. God. And you fell in love with him.
It's not even it. Mike went through a mental and physical, hardcore physical glow up.
So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, John is so much cooler today than he is when I met him.
Yeah.
If I fell in love with him 10 years ago, as is.
I actually always tell him that I don't know how I was attracted to him 10 years ago. I really do.
All right.
Because he wasn't like hot when I look back.
Was he not?
But neither was I. So I think we were equivalent and we like glowed up together.
No, he was fugly. I could ask the same question of myself. But
really
if you fell in love with him then, like, and now there's an even better version of themselves, then you should honestly be able to fall in them, like, in love with them in a greater capacity now.
Yeah, wait, can I give another suggestion that I don't want to not give because it's such a good one?
Well, don't gatekeep it.
Well, okay. This is hard to do.
Okay.
Because you have to strike a balance with it. So I think the hottest thing in the world is when somebody can teach me a new thing. And I get turned on by that. That's why, like, my fantasy, we've said this before, would be, like, figures of authority. Like, if I'm ever going
you have said
on a porno site, I'm Googling, like, principal, the CEO.
This entire show is just, like, R-rated at this point.
Yeah, like, sorry, Caroline's mom, turn it off. But, like, I love a figure of authority, like a doctor. That's a little weird because my whole family's doctors. But, like, you know what I mean? Somebody who, like, has studied to get and worked to get to where they are and then is, like, going to teach you something. But I don't want a mansplainer. Nobody wants a mansplainer. That's why it's complicated because I don't want Mike mansplaining sports to me.
No, it's
Rather, I want him, like, teaching me about something I don't know. Like, give me new knowledge.
I'm too ADD for that, but I could totally see how that would work.
Yeah. Or, like, a physical skill. Like, if you're, like, like, Morgan Riddle and Paige Lorenz, the two influencers that have tennis boyfriends. I'm always like, oh, my God, that's the hottest thing. Their hot pro tennis player boyfriends are probably, like, taking them to the courts and giving them lessons. Like, stop.
I just feel like they're yelling at them, though.
Yeah, like, they're probably getting so frustrated. But oh, well.
They're like, no water break.
Yeah. But still.
I'm just a bit of a crier for that.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Or I would get mad. Like I got mad earlier. I'd throw my water at them.
Yeah, well, the tempers need to stay intact because it could go south. Like when I teach Mike tennis, because I played in high school, he did not. I actually do get really frustrated with him, and then I get really mean and like start verbally assaulting, and then we just like it ruins the whole day.
Yeah,
so
that's why John doesn't want to play sports with me. But
like a good, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you are a fly fisher. I don't care if you're a whale catcher.
You just want to learn something new
from my spouse.
So one of the girls, this is what I love about the input because it's from like tried and true tested. Like people have already tested this out. They're letting us know how it went. She said that the things that they started to do together were fly fishing and snowboarding. And I was like, it's so niche. Like it's just so niche for everybody. But you fell in love with that person. So there are things that you're going to find that are so niche for everybody else that work for you.
However, I'm trying to think of how to articulate this without sounding like a narcissist.
Okay. Why don't you just spit it out?
I think for Mike and I, we would need to find the right thing to do together that he would be better than me at because I'm better than him at a lot of things.
Really?
Like when we played pickleball for the first time.
Don't you like being better in though? That like I would
know, but I want him to be better.
Oh, that's sweet.
But I'm just naturally really good at things.
No, I like enjoy being. I mean,
no, I'm good at racket sports.
I could see how you thinking it's narcissistic to say like I'm better at stuff, but I think it's anti-narcissistic to be like I want him to be better because I want to be better.
Oh.
Like I enjoy the feeling of being better at something because John is so good at so many things.
No, Mike is so good at so many things. I don't want it to sound like I'm like saying Mike sucks at everything. But like, I guess the things that
you're competitive.
Tried, so like pickleball and tennis and racket sports, really, truly just like racket sports.
Right.
I'm naturally really good at. And I'm better than him at
it's
it.
Like
and
me
then
with
I'm like,
water
ew,
sports.
like be better.
I'm just kidding.
But like anything with balance, I'm better at. I guess we just need to do like, workout classes we've taken. Mike is really good at like going full out in a workout class. I'm a cheater. So that's a lie. He's good at like physical things.
I mean, I just think the moral of that story is like if both of you are competitive, then like yes, tread lightly.
Yeah.
Like we're both competitive and therefore we tread lightly about the things that we like both do together because if you're going to make it competitive at the end of the day, it probably takes some of the fun out of it for you. And that's why you started doing it together in the first place.
Really good at? He's very intellectual like you. And he's a good arguer. So maybe we need to just like enter into a debate competition and he'll just like school me.
That would be so funny. That would be so fun. John and I love to debate, and we have a friend that like used to think that we were arguing when we were debating, and he didn't tell us for months. And then one day we were all in the car, and he was like, "I hate it when you guys fight like this.
Like this is us getting along, bitch."
And we were like, "Fight?" Like we were debating something, like we were going back and forth on some random topic that I literally can't even remember now that had nothing to do with either of us.
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, sweetie, this is not a fight."
No, healthy
I'm
debating.
Like, this is fun sport.
Healthy debating is key.
I mean, I'm just going to tell you, I am so annoying. Like, I need somebody else that is also so annoying.
Yeah.
To, like, keep up with.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Okay, so we want to know all of the things that you guys do to date your partner. And also, if you've been in this situation before where you're kind of like, I miss the feeling of falling in love, or like, I'm randomly craving that feeling of falling in love, please tell us what it is, because we would love to share all the tips and tricks to doing that, because whatever, like I think we're getting to that age where that's important.
Yeah. And I'm inspired by the fact that you physically, like, whenever you want something from your relationship, you verbalize it to him, which is easier said than done. So thanks for being so inspiring, partner.
No problem. I've a genuine issue keeping my mouth shut. So
yeah, sometimes you just can't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I think it would be harder.
That's why we love you.
I think it would be harder for me to not say anything.
Makes for a good podcast host.
Yeah, it does. Okay, well, we love you guys. We will see you next week. Stay hot, honeys.
And stay stretching.
Stay stretching. Stay away from those back injuries. Getting older is not for the weak.
Very true.
Okay, we love you guys. We'll see you next week.